Please mute your mic, and then begins the monologue of our teacher, uninterrupted by any sound or disruption for 40 minutes of lecture. As much as the teacher might want to accept questions, the class is dominated by silence. We can no longer imagine a vibrant classroom full of questions or ping and pong of light ideas being thrown around. This is what COVID-19 has done to not only my classroom, but our classrooms. Students' right to education is imperiled, and we desperately need to secure inclusive and quality education for all, which is SDG 4, the subject I'd like to discuss today. Let me first explain what we actually mean by right to education. In Korea, the Constitution promises the state's duty to provide quality education to its citizens through public education. However, it's obvious that Korea has largely denied students access and the right to quality education. You might think, what exactly is so special and important about students' education right? It's because how they live their life depends on their education. Moreover, basic education is essential later on since it allows individuals to secure jobs that sustain their livelihoods and make their dreams come true. According to analysis from McKinsey, a consulting firm, today's students may earn $49,000 to $61,000 less over their lifetime because of the pandemic. Out of the countless problems COVID-19 has caused to schools, I want to introduce what I personally felt to be the most critical. Students are no longer able to freely ask questions. As a question lover myself, this was a huge change for me. To prevent chaos from happening, the teacher says, "Everyone, please mute your mic." The class will continue, and at the end of the class, teachers usually just finish without asking students if they have any questions. This leaves many students and myself confused with what we are supposed to do or understand. I realized that we should come up with detailed approaches to solve this issue rather than lamenting on the problems we face. The first thing we need to get closer to SDG 4 is provision of digital equipment and a stable environment for online learning. The biggest problem is that not every student all over the world has a laptop or a device to join online classes. I also suggest implementing learning recovery programs. The government must ensure that students who have fallen behind receive the support so that they can catch up. The first step is to target specifically the students in need of support. Research shows that even only 12 weeks of tutoring can help students to restore performance to average levels. Lastly, the government must protect the education budget. Even before COVID-19, the government sometimes took money away from the education budget. Generally, politicians are much more enthusiastic when it comes to spending on areas with popular support and short-term outcomes like welfare and economy. However, considering the massive impact the absence of education will bring to us years later, the government should protect and try to expand the education budget. It's a rock-solid fact that the choices we make for education are for the future of millions of people, and that these problems must be addressed immediately. But perhaps the best thing I have for this change is my genuine hope that will spread eventually. I hope resources are channeled to all people in need, regardless of borders. I hope every student like me succeeds in concentrating well in online classes. I hope someday COVID-19 will be a thing of the past and we can continue our journey towards achieving SDG 4. Thank you.
I've got a question. You mentioned how many governments could help by sending equipment, computers, or internet connections to students who don't have it. But you also talked about how your teachers often say, mute your mic and you don't have time to speak. How would giving technology to people who don't have it, which I do think is important, but how would that help the classroom learning situation that you have?
It's not actually mentioned in my speech, but I suggest making platforms so students can also be confident with asking questions. And during the recovery program, we could fix the problems that we're having, and we could also help students lagging behind. And even though it might take some time to give all the equipment out to every student, it might be better than having nothing. And also, it will help them if they use textbooks or worksheets while waiting for them.